All right. Well, good morning and welcome to week number 5 of the weekly campaign forum. Candidates are always welcome as our residents here. Our intent is very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to walk through the candidates that are here this morning. They're going to give us a little indication of what office they're running for and a little bit about why they're running. And then we want to get into a situation where, this is really hopefully about getting.
That's not to say what the trauma was. And I was in the gallery that day. I was evacuated. I was told to hit the ground and hide behind the seats in the House gallery because of gunshots. And
don't know where this is coming from.
If you will, at the door of the chamber. They need to be held accountable.
Okay, well, whatever that was, again, one of the great things about Zoom is it's incredibly democratic that anybody can sort of, get in here and talk about it. So my apologies for what was ever happening there. And I would say some basic, simple ground rules here. Okay, we're going to, like I said, we're going to talk through our agenda, what we're trying to do. Okay, and we'll have a little candidate talk. When we have our discussions, we just want to simply maintain civility here with respect. We can disagree about points, but we should not be disagreeable. Okay, we want to do that. We particularly want to encourage anybody, after we go through a little bit of discussion of who we are, so we can get some input from our residents. Again, normally our show, this will be up on YouTube and on a campaign website and Facebook by Monday. We try to get it up there so that you can use it with, in your own campaign. Feel free to distribute it as easily as possible, and we hope you'll come back. So this morning, we have some new faces here today. Okay. I would, so I'm going to start with the new faces. Not that I'm ever tired of seeing your face, Allison. I'm always thrilled to see you. Okay, but you're pretty familiar for those who've been regular here. So let me start with Nathan, because we reached out to us from there. Nathan and Allison, I think both are Park District candidates. So Nathan, could you tell us a little bit about you and your campaign and why you're running for Park District?
Sure. So as Mark said, my name is Nathan Wilson. I'm running for Park District Board Commissioner. Like Allison, I know you've had a few of the other candidates on previously. I happen to live in South Naperville with my wife and 2 kids. We moved to Naperville probably 9 years ago, I want to say, something like that. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
okay.
Real good.
Yeah, I put the headphones on just to make sure the audio was a little bit better. But yeah, so we moved. I originally grew up in Rockford. My wife grew up in Naperville. She went to Naperville North as well. So we've always had some sort of connection to Naperville, I guess you could say. Bit about why I'm running is my background is in software. I work on software for finance. I shouldn't say my background's in finance, and I work on software for finance as a day job. So I have a bit of an overlap in both of them and making things run, systems run as efficient as possible. That said, I've also played sports my entire life, and my kids have been involved in various Park District activities, anywhere from going to Naperville Park and signing up for classes there. Myself doing like the daddy-daughter dance that goes to the Park District at the school. I can't remember what school it's hosted at, but yeah, we've done. I've also helped coach my kids' soccer teams as well. So a lot of different facets we've been involved with. And I know a couple of the not personally, but a couple of the current Park District candidates or members of the Park District are not running for re-election. That said, I think that the board in general has done a good job making sure things are fiscally responsible and meeting the demands of the taxpayers. Not sure how many people are aware of this, but if you take a look at the last budget meeting that the Park District did, 96% of the
follow through.
get in.
Hey, Vince, we're gonna mute you there. I think you're getting some background noise for the moment. Sorry, Mike. Again, the democracy is great, but sometimes it's disruptive.
Yeah, no, totally get it. But yeah, I think 96% of the budget's made up of property taxes, and the board this year and going into 2021 has done a really good job keeping the average property tax flat. They also have a AAA Moody's bond rating, which is the highest that you can achieve. So in my sense of it is that the board's done a really good job making sure that the demands of I mean, for example, I haven't looked at every park district class that's offered or every single class, but I know when my kids sign up for classes, they're gone. They run out of spaces. So and also obviously the parks are used everywhere, all over the place, and in my view, and looking at the budgetary concerns of the taxpayers, they've done a really good job with that. So I want to help make sure that we continue to maintain fiscal discipline and come up with common sense solutions that aren't going to blow out the budget and have try to not have unexpected and unintended consequences. So that's why.
Well, thanks, Nathan. That was really great. I appreciate it. Okay, well, what I'd ask you, if you're not speaking, let's mute yourself, okay, so that when the inevitable phone call rings or somebody talks in your ear, that, you know, we keep it there. So Nathan, I'm going to switch over then. Allison, you, again, not to be confused, Ms. Thompson, okay, you know, or the Allison with one L, depending on how you want to look at it. I mean, either way. Allison, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're new for us here too in week 5. So
yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. So basically, after losing my management position due to cutbacks from COVID-19, I was really motivated to find a local government position where I could make a difference on the ground level. I felt I could truly make a difference, particularly on the Naperville Park District Board, just because I could enact change in my own city. I feel women's voices are particularly unrepresented on this board, and I really want to change that. I actually grew up in Naperville, and as a child growing up in Naperville, and now a mother of young children growing up here in Naperville, I've relied on Park District facilities and programs to be both relevant and affordable. I hope to make a difference on the local level, make sure voices of young parents are represented and heard on the Park District Board. I also want to ensure that all Naperville residents have the same opportunities to take advantage of the same high quality programming and accessible programming. Even with 2 parents working, I know it was difficult for us to afford the preschool program at the Park District. We didn't qualify for the scholarships. You know, we were above the budget line, but it was still a struggle. Expanding these scholarship programs to aid residents that might not be able to afford Park District services will be a high priority for me. In addition, comparing our pricing to other districts in the area is really important as well. I've actually heard parents say they've gone to other park districts, Naperville parents, going to other park districts in other cities because the pricing wasn't comparable. So I just want to really make sure we're having a lot of checks and balances with that. I also want to make sure that our budgets are spent responsibly and with the best interests of Naperville citizens in mind. Time, money, and Park District resources will be spent on improving the lives of Naperville citizens, and I really want programming to be inclusive and reflective of our large and diverse city. I want to make sure that our parks continue to be the destination of our city and update them with environmental sustainability in mind. Naperville will continue to lead cities in environmental stewardship. I'm super proud of the work we've already done and hope to continue that work. I definitely believe we have the resources and motivation to do so through the Naperville Park District. I'm just really excited to, you know, hit the ground running when elected to the Naperville Park District Board.
okay, well, thank you very much, Allison. Okay, now from Allison to Allison. Ms. Longenbaum, if you'd be so kind.
Hello all. I will keep it quick because I've done this a few times before, but I'm Allison Longenbaum. I'm running for Naperville City Council. And so Mark, thanks for hosting this today. Just quick background on me. I'm a vice president at JP Morgan. I worked there for 29 years. And I started going to city council meetings a few years ago because of the Fifth Avenue development, which is in my neighborhood. I'm in Park Addition, right next door to the train station. And so when I started going to those meetings, I found that I like really, really enjoyed them. And I kept going even when the Fifth Avenue program was voted down. And so I started a Facebook thread for every meeting, and I would kind of live so people would know what was going on. And I kept enjoying that. And I kept doing that. And I felt like it was helpful to have a voice for neighbors who can't sit through the long city council meetings to really know at a very high level what is going on. And so I continued to do that. So having been to so many meetings, I know that all my neighbors are very passionate about Naperville, and they've been, frustrated and concerned and excited about things. And they also felt that they weren't being heard by city council. And so instead of complaining about it, I'm like, all right, well, I can fix it and I can run for city council myself. And so that's what I'm doing. So I want to be the voice for all neighbors in Naperville, not just my own neighborhood. And that's what I'd like to do. So Mark, thanks for having me. I put my stuff in the chat, so you got my information there. It's Allison for Naperville on all the social medias and website.
Well,
Thanks, Mark.
I'm surprised you didn't run with your great tagline, "I'm running for you." I love that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I am running for literally because I am an avid runner, and I am on day 637 of my daily run streak. So happy to say I'm in Dallas right now, and it's like 65 degrees. And so it's quite nice to be able to run in shorts for at least a couple of days. I'm down here. My sister just had surgery, so I'm down here not for a pleasure trip, but I am glad that it was this weekend.
It's an excellent week to be out of town.
Definitely.
I'll tell you that much. And I do enjoy those running bits that you have on Facebook. You've done some great stuff, and don't stop. It's tremendous what you're doing.
Well, it's actually it's a fun way, like when something comes up on the city council agenda, rather than, I always read all the stuff. I do my homework. I read it all. But in some cases, it helps to actually see what's going on, like what is there? And that's not just city council, it's like the planning and zoning stuff, which then leads up into city council. So rather than just saying, oh, that sounds bad, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to run and I'm going to see what it looks like. And part of that is because I'm bored of my neighborhood after 637 days of running right around where I live. I need a change of scenery, but it does help to have feet on the ground and to see what's going on. If the neighbors are complaining, because I really want to listen to what the neighbors have to say, like what's going on here? Is there truly a hardship from the developer, or is there a hardship from the neighbors? And so I want to see it from myself so that I can then listen to both sides of the story and make an educated decision on what would happen. So I truly am literally running for you, Naperville.
Yeah. Great tagline. I love it so, for what it's worth. My dear friend Vince Ori is with us. Vince, I know you got to say a few words. If you show up, you are a candidate for city council. Tell me some stuff about Vince.
Okay, yeah, I'm Vince Ori, and I'm running for city council. And I like Allison's comment about running for you. And I think that's one of the things that I've noticed that during the last year, the council never got into our neighborhood, never talked to any of the neighbors. They just went through and put through development that was crammed down our throats. And, and I think that is unfair, and they do not understand our position. They don't know how we feel about things. And, that's kind of the same thing that Allison was saying. You got to get into the neighborhoods. You got to talk to the people. I've talked to people all over Naperville, and people have problems that are not being addressed. And I think that's the big thing about running. If we're going to serve the people, we're running for the people, and we're here to serve the people. And we're not here to serve, other interest groups other than the voters and the homeowners and the residents. So I like Allison's attitude, and I agree with it totally. And I think she put last time that she was 7 and I'm 8, and I think Mark is 10 on the list of voters. So remember to vote 7, 8, and 10 anyway. So anyway, that's all I got. And it's good to be here.
I'm pretty sure that gives you a bingo, Vince. I'm not quite sure or not, though, for what it's worth. Thank you very much. Are there any other candidates I haven't? Oh, you have a question, Mary? By all means. I need to unmute you. You need to unmute. There you go.
If there aren't any more candidates, I have a question for them. But
I'm a candidate, and I'd like to.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I know you are. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I promise it'll be very short, because really, really what I've been hitting for the last week or two is the idea that, and I'm so thrilled that we have a more resident turnout here. This is the most important election that you actually are impacted by. Is not the national or state election. It's the election that affects your taxes, your zoning, your parks, and your schools. This is the municipal election. This is what's at stake right now. So the purpose of putting this together was to bring the community in and understand that, hey, this is a big deal. This is a bigger deal. We need to get people involved. And that's why I keep beating on people like Ashraf. He's been doing such a great job, being involved in that. But he's one of those core people that's out there. And we need to get the community understanding what's at stake. There's a ton at stake here, okay? And my feeling is this. By sitting in a forum like this, some of us will maybe work together in the future. So let's get to know each other now. And I also share with both Vince and Allison the fact that we want to improve the channel, the ability to get information to the council. And if it's successful, this is going to be maintained. I'm going to maintain this idea of a weekly forum so that we can get the input that we need. We saw this last week, and we'll have a little talk about it. We saw some really big issues go through City Council this week. We saw City Gate West, and then in Planning and Zoning in a marathon 5-hour meeting, they beat the Naperville Commons to death. And I feel so bad for ICN, because it's the second meeting where people, and tons of people were there, and they waited 5 hours, and much to Chairman Hanson's, he did apologize. And I am hopeful that at the very next Planning and Zoning meeting, ICN will be front and center and finally begin, because of all the projects I've seen in Naperville, I've never seen more turnout and more interest in that one. So I'm anxious to hear more and more about that. Anyhow, I'm running for City Council because I love Naperville. I'm at a point in my life where I have the time and energy to serve. I want your vote and I want your support. So now, Marilyn, I'm going to shut up and we'll take your questions.
Okay. Well, first of all, I mean, thank all of the candidates showing up today, and especially thanks to Mark for his generosity in taking the time to pull this together. So my question sort of for both City Council and Park District candidates is the issue of land cash donations for developments, because there's sort of a balance. You can't make more land. And I know the Park District has a balance between taking the cash for programs, other investments, versus taking the land, which is also an investment to expand the park. And I mean, as an example, for Napier Commons, I think if it were a full land donation, it would be 5 acres. And I think my understanding is the compromise that they made was for about 2 acres. But then they can't make more land there. And it's sort of like, well, we can just use the Forest Reserve land. And I guess my feeling is, again, you can't make more land, and I would prefer to see, in general, more to sort of use land as an investment so that you have it, and then as you get further cash donations, then you can actually put it into the land that you have. So I would just, and I think I'm putting City Council in there too, because this often comes up where I think council and staff with developments often tends to say, well, it's just a Park District issue. But it makes it very, very easy then to just sort of go the cash route and not really push through. Like one of the things that was brought up with Naperville Commons, that, land and open space is very important. So I would like all of your comments on this.
So let me just come back to that for a second, Marilyn, make sure I understand. Specifically, your question is relative to land, cash, what?
Yeah, so what are your priorities sort of towards either from a council perspective, helping to actually preserve land, for the future of parks, and from a park district responsibility, preserving land so that eventually you have land that you can actually have programs on as our population increases. And how do you feel about balancing that, or is it more of a short-term perspective?
Good question. I think I would start, since this starts in the Park District. Nathan and Allison, who wants to go first on that one? I see you're unmuted, Nathan. That means it's you, big boy.
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. No, I think Marilyn answered, kind of, the Park District, I believe, is going to I think they've revisited or are in the process of revisiting the policy now. I think it's going to come up for on the agenda for next week's meeting, as far as I know. But no, I mean, it's a good question as far as that goes, where if you build a bunch of stuff short term, then you may run into issues down the line. And we've seen that with school planning. When you build a ton of schools and you have some expectation of popular growth, hence after the financial crisis, and people kept expecting people to boom and come out to whatever suburbs, and population remained stagnant despite property tax increases. And people are left with this big tax levy when when the population didn't increase and businesses didn't continue to grow, and people were left with a lot of taxes. So that can be an issue, just as an example. But I mean, that said, I think green space is always desired by, I don't know who doesn't like having green space. It's one of these things where I think if you get a big piece of land, and I don't see why you wouldn't leave it as land unless there's some sort of demand for it to be used as some sort of facility. Like that, from my understanding, there had always had been a decent number of requests for projects south of 75th and 95th as people continued to move in, hence the 95th Street project, which, in case people aren't aware, had recently received an award. And the other project with at Wolf's Crossings, which has certainly been utilized. But it's one of these things where as development continued to go up, it had been land there, and as development had grown, it's being utilized. So I guess, Marilyn, it kind of to answer your question, it kind of depends on projected residents. If there aren't any residents, then there's obviously not a necessity to build onto it. So
great.
That's
Okay, Allison, what do you think? What are you thinking?
So I think the number one thing to consider is the value it adds to our city. Are we adding more affordable housing, which I know is high on the priority in the minds of the city council? Are we adding more mini mansions? What is going into the space? I think one of the best proposals I had seen was a good compromise, where it was going to be townhomes, which would be more affordable for middle-class families, and then a large space to use as a park, which would be a nice compromise. I mean, obviously, we love our parks here in the city. We love having the spaces. That's why a lot of people move from the city to the suburbs, is to use these spaces, to use these parks. But I think I would have to really sit down and look at exactly what benefits it would give to citizens and find a good compromise there, because I do truly believe in affordable housing. I do truly believe that Naperville in general needs to be more open, more fiscally diverse as well, economically diverse. And if something were proposed that would benefit us as a city in that way, I would definitely like to see something like that.
Very good. Thank you very much. Allison with 2 L's.
Well, I would just echo what Allison with 1 L just said. I mean, I think I'm the land cash donation. I need to kind of get my head around that. I mean, I would say that we definitely want to be preserving open space. And I think you can have it both ways. I think you can have a piece of land and it doesn't have to be all commercial or all industrial or all housing. There is a give and take. You can have a school on there. You can have parks as well as housing. And so I think it's looking at the parcel and making sure that we have a diversity of housing as well as of land use as well. And so that's where, working with the developers and planning and zoning, that they need to do that, which should all be part of a master plan as well, just so that we're not taking away all forests or all open
political stuff. Nothing exciting.
It just needs to be done in a balanced way to diversify everything.
We see a late arriving candidate appear on the scene here. Good morning, Rhonda. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm just having lunch with my kids. So I'm just kind of joining in here to listen.
Okay, well, you just caught a part. We have Allison and Nathan Wilson with us today, and we're talking park. And the question just came up from Marilyn. She was asking about land cash, and basically, I think the question is it better for land, or is it money, or is there a compromise in between? Okay, I'm going to answer that while you think about it for a second. For me, I believe that if we can maintain the land, it's always better. That assuming that parks are growing with population, which I agree with Nathan in that too. They need to marry, they need to be there. But given our druthers, if we have our choice, I think it's important that we protect our green space. And to steal from Joni Mitchell, we don't pave over parking, pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Okay, we really don't want to do that. We need to balance. Balance is the key to so many things right there. Okay, so that's my stake. Yes, Marilyn.
Yeah, and I guess I would just say, using the example of Napier Commons, where the land donation is half the total land cash donation. How do you feel about that?
I feel it's inadequate, and I also think that if you went back to Citygate West, the number that they offered cash-wise also was very inadequate. In terms of, now that was a cash donation for affordable housing, so I don't want to confuse it, but also, a giant development, and we're going to do $200,000. Come on, we can do better than that, I think, right? How much affordable housing does $200,000 get you? One duplex, right? For what it's worth. Anyhow, Ron, I don't know if again, unfair to you pop it in here. If you don't want to, you just say, hey, Mark, forget about it. No problem. I do have another question though for Park District people. Okay. And this is for you. I have been told, and I've spent most of my time looking at city council and planning and zoning, who are very easy to interact with, to be honest with you. Everything's simple in that. I've been told it's a little cumbersome to really participate in the park district meetings. So I would ask, from a park district standpoint, how would you change that? What can we do to improve that?
I think with all of our technology, we should be continually streaming meetings of any local government happenings. I heard recently that the Park District is no longer going to be streaming meetings and only switching to in-person, which has a capacity limit and quite frankly excludes people because they might be nervous because of COVID concerns. So we have the technology, everybody is comfortable with this technology. Clearly the 2020 has forced us to become comfortable with this. Why are we not using this more? Why are we not utilizing this in every single elected official meetings? That the public deserves to be able to hear what's going on behind these doors, and it's not always feasible with family, work, life to actually be there in person. So why not stream it? It's so simple, so easy, and we have the means to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. And even beyond COVID, some people just can't get out of their house for other reasons. You know, accessibility. You know, the Park District has a lot of great accessible, you know, compliances. This is just another one. So it's, you know, a very simple fix. I don't see why not. And again, all the government access. I mean, that's one thing we've learned from all of this is how much more accessible we can be to the public, for sure, with everything.
Yeah, I'll go last. I know the meetings had been streamed. I was on the last one, and I didn't make, or I've either listened to or called into the past several meetings. So, and I know that the last one had taken public comments and people had been able to speak. So I'm not exactly. I guess I'd have to look listen to more specifically the complaint, I suppose. But that said, I mean, I don't disagree with Allison. It's, you know, you can obviously stream it and do it in person at the same time. It's pretty relatively straightforward. But yeah, I mean, and I also think that you know, people have questions. That, I mean, we're all can obviously log on to Zoom. You can shoot people emails too. So. All the park commissioners and not just commissioners, I think I've also emailed soccer people and whatnot dealing with different activities, and they've always been responsive in my sense. So I would hope to continue to be just as responsive that I've gotten, and hopefully people haven't had bad experiences. If they had, hopefully that'll be addressed. So.
Allison, you want to say something, please?
Yeah, no, I just have just a question in general. So pre-COVID, the Park District meetings, were they only done in person? So like city council meetings, you can watch it on TV. And I don't know if like planning and zoning and all of that, if you had to show up in person for anything, or if they were filmed and taped or on TV. So were Park District meetings always just in person?
The best of my knowledge, they were always in person. They were open to the public. But they were always in person. They were not recorded or streamed.
Okay.
Since COVID and they were meeting remotely, they were streaming them. And then recently, now that they've decided to go back into person, they're taking away the streaming option.
Okay. I mean, I hope they.
No,
I mean,
just a quick note. They are, like, if you go to YouTube, they're on, I don't know that every single one of them are recorded, but certainly some of them are.
From 2020. We're talking about before COVID.
Before that, yeah.
No, they're on YouTube.
Oh, are they the old
Yeah,
ones? So even
yeah.
like 2019.
Yeah.
Okay,
Again,
that was I just
like if you look up like there, I just double checked. I wanted to make sure I wasn't speaking incorrectly, because I've gone back, and I don't want to be confused about different ones. But I don't know that every single one is recorded, but if you take a look, there are ones from at least 2018, 2019. So I don't know what percent, but there are some.
Right, because I would think through the Open Meetings Act and that there would be some kind of requirement that they would be archived in some way so that you could go back. I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, the reason I asked that question, I was told that it was kind of, you know, the other meetings, it's fairly easy to find. I told you had to dive down into like bylaws or something to find the link to it, and that seems like a simple thing to fix, but that doesn't seem to be, Nathan, your experience. And like I said, I'm asking simply out of ignorance, because I haven't looked at that. I've spent most of my time, as Allison's mentioned, in planning and zoning and city council meetings, including the marathon planning and zoning meeting we just had last week on Napier Commons, which ended up in a table discussion. I do have one more controversial question to ask of Park District people, okay? And it's kind of tied together to two different things. Last year, the Park District brought a lawsuit against the state. And recently, the Park District also voted for a veto for the government. Now, I guess my questions are, do you feel that those are the appropriate actions of the Park District?
Well, for me, no, is the short answer. So as far as the lawsuit, I didn't really see how or why that was necessary. I understood the concerns because with COVID closures and, the having to not keep the same programming opening for people, that there's a concern as far as, people being served by the park district and not being able to because of COVID. Okay, but that didn't change anything suing the state, because it's like you can't sue the virus, like it's still real, it's still there no matter what the state's decisions are regarding its handling. So to me, I did not really see the point of that at all. And as far as this veto goes, also fail to see how that has anything to do with the park district. I know their reasoning had to do with what some of the, watery aspects of it and how that would possibly affect park police, but it was watery at best, like not really directly related. And, the park district is very specific in its purpose and its service to the community. And those issues, to me, aren't in the park district's jurisdiction. They have to stay in their lane. There's so many things the park district needs to focus on. I've heard from people who talk about, better cleanup of some of the areas with the snow removal lately that are being ignored outside of parks. And someone has mentioned to me about how they think the area surrounding the Riverwalk isn't being upkept. Like that sort of thing is what the park district is for. So to me, it's a waste of time to really talk about any of those other issues anyway, because, so if they're supportive or not supportive of a veto, what does it have to do with the park district? Like, what does it have to do with anything as far as, it's not like they're going to go to Springfield to confront the governor and do anything about it either way. So, to me, I saw all of that as kind of a waste of time.
Nathan or Allison, any thoughts?
I agree with Rhonda. I always go back to, is this best serving taxpayers? Is this most wisely spending taxpayer dollars? And the same answer I get with both of these questions is no. It was not spent wisely. Their time was not spent wisely. Their money was not spent wisely. We could have used that money to expand upon programming to reach more people during this time when people really need to be reached. People are isolated. People are feeling alone here. And we have technology that we can invest in to reach more people. And this is even besides the pandemic, reach people who are homebound, reach people who maybe can't venture out for one reason or another. And instead we're wasting our time and resources on something that doesn't really apply to the park district. So that's kind of what I go back to is, are we spending this responsibly? Are we improving the lives of Naperville citizens or not? Because I see the park district as improving the lives of Naperville citizens.
Okay. Any thoughts, Nathan?
Yeah. So as far as the lawsuit goes, I'm not sure. It's just one of these things where you'd have to look at it at the time. So I don't know. But the most recent police thing that had come up, which they voted 6-0 unanimous decision on. Again, it's one of these things where you try and look at the trade-offs and both sides of it, where I know Ms. Answer had mentioned to stay in their lane, but at the same time, the park district, and I guess myself too, would say that the police have, that there are park police, so it would fall under their lane. And listening to the meeting last week, there were also concerns with something as simple as the park police not being able to remove somebody from a park or beach. If my wife and kids are at the beach and somebody's harassing them, I would hope that the person could be removed. If I'm not, I'm relatively bigger than my wife and stronger than her. If I couldn't be there to help out, obviously I would hope somebody like that. That's, to me, that's kind of what the part of the park police's job is for. And if they can't do that without concerns for
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, you're back. You froze for a
Oh.
second. I just want you to know we're not censoring. Okay. We just got stuck.
Okay, yeah. So, but there we go. I think that should be better. Yeah, just that's my concern with that. So just being able to enforce things. I mean, we use the parks a lot. If park police can't remove somebody from causing disturbances or harassing people, it's concerning to me. I don't know how other people feel about that.
Yeah, I honestly, I've never heard that. I'm going to plead ignorance here too, and I understand that concern. You're right. I mean, you're in the
I don't know that it says that, or if that's just someone's interpretation. Like,
Yeah,
I think people are kind of extrapolating a lot from this bill without really fully understanding what they're actually trying to do.
This could just be because I have not,
Yeah,
I have not dove in directly to the bill, but from my understanding, it was basically just the ways you can remove someone, such as no excessive force, no chokeholds, which are things already our police department doesn't do. Like we're already kind of ahead of the game with this bill, regardless, because we're already implementing the practices that the bill is trying to eliminate throughout the whole state. So I think that's kind of what Rhonda, I don't want to speak for you, Rhonda, but like meant by stay in your lane is basically we're already not doing these things. We're already implementing, getting rid of racial profiling and making sure we're not using chokeholds or excessive force. So it just didn't make as much sense, I guess, for the park district to come through and say, no, we don't like this bill either. Like, I guess the question you're asking, Mark, is really like, what was the point of it? Like what was the end result?
The real question was, I ask it because it's been controversial. Different people have had it. I've got 3 candidates here that are park district, I think, and we have 4 or 5 different individuals. Worth asking. And like I said, there are no wrong answers. People, there's no wrong answers in that. My apologies. I should have muted my phone. I've asked too many questions, so I want to flip it around and say.
Sorry, Mark, just to add on top of, but I would just that's from based on the meeting, and that's my understanding. I think there was also issues with it being put through at 4 in the morning and approved at 5. And I get people say was the original, much like the original one, which was 600 pages or something. But I mean, I work in software. It's easy to, and the government doesn't do this, which is sort of a problem in my opinion. Like regardless of whatever your opinion is on anything, but you can use. It's called version control, where you make change, save, it's effectively saving documents. Right. I mean, you save, you can do this with anything, with modeling software or modeling financial products, where you make a change, you make another change, you can view the differences. And it shows you the differences. So without fleshing those out, it's relatively easy to do. So not relatively, it is easy. So that's I mean, without fleshing out what those details are and being able to diagnose those is I don't know, somewhat disconcerting in my opinion.
I understand. Thank you. Are there any other questions for Park District folks? Vince, I see your hands up. You have something you want to say?
Yeah. As far as the land cash thing, Naperville, as big as it is running out of land, especially in different areas where we are putting a lot of buildings into one place and shrinking the land usage for parks. So my only point is that I think we should expand the land. We'll always have the money because the money keeps coming in for the city of Naperville and for the park district, but the land we can't expand anymore. So, and I like all the other comments that have been said, and I think we ought to all stay in our own lane and do what we can do. And I think that's a very good point. Each of us can only operate out of our own little domain, and it's very frustrating because we think we can control all of things that are around us, and we can't. We just have to control what's in front of us. And And today we can, take care of what we can and let the Illinois legislature take care of their portion of it and let us take care of our portion of it. So that's all my comments for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. I appreciate it. Any questions for the panel today? Yeah, Allison with two L's, very strong in making sure I get done under an hour. Okay, we're closing in our last minute. So are there other questions out there this morning? I don't want to, I really, first of all, thanks everybody for attending. I hope you'll come back, bring your friends. We're really trying to bring community into this. I'm delighted by the attendance by our candidates. Fantastic. And I'm really delighted by the increased amount of people turning out today. Your voices, it's your votes that are going to make it happen. Okay. And that's what we're trying to do, is stimulate that. So any questions for anybody else on the panel this morning before we wrap up session number 5?
I just want to say thanks for doing these.
Well, thanks for attending. I mean, I can't tell you how important it is. I love our candidates. I do. And we enjoy talking. But what really, the voices of the citizens, the questions of the citizens, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to open this channel. As a candidate, I have to be honest, it's kind of a frustrating thing because, we're in this COVID era and we just can't quite go out and shake hands and do all the things we would normally want to do. And we're trying to find a way. And while there are some really great things done, obviously the league is doing great stuff and other people are having things, but there's just very little. And usually what happens in those presentations I've been involved in so far is give us your 2-minute speech, and there it is. Well, there's a lot more to this. And I think the way we get that is by having this dialogue, honest communication here among each other, and, broaden that out. Okay. So I would encourage you today, first of all, candidates, come back, because there's going to be new people. But more importantly, let's drag some of your neighbors and friends here so we can get their input. There are a lot of big issues that are coming up for us there. Now, I know, I would like to say that I do know a lot of candidates have some stuff going on coming up here. And if you have announcements about some of your things that are going to come up, feel free to share them right here, because we're going to tape it and, we want to get this out to everybody. So I am intrigued, Allison, by Galentine's Day. I saw that the other day. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on with Galentine's Day?
Yeah, we're having a fundraiser. So Galentine's Day was a fake holiday that was, it came up in the show Parks and Recreation, and it was designated as the day before Valentine's Day. And it was a celebration of women and a time to get together with your girlfriends before Valentine's Day. And so we are having a Galentine's Day fundraiser on the 12th, I think, or the 13th. I don't have it right in front of me right now, but yeah, we're going to have one of my friends who has become a quarantine mixologist. She's making a couple of cocktails. We're going to have a video intro by Amy Poehler. And so, yeah, so it should be fun. So
really, Amy Poehler, you mean you've reached out to her and she's doing something specific for you?
Yep.
That is, listen, you are awesome. You really have got a connection. Unbelievable. You got a meet and greet too, don't you? Also come up, or did you already have your?
That's what's the 12th. Yeah. So next week, and we're going to be advertising that soon. Yeah. So that'll be on the 12th at 7:00. Zoom, just like we've done all the other ones. So we'll be, announcing that with the details soon. That's the 12th. Our Galentine's Day is the 13th. So, yeah.
Very, very, very busy. Yeah. Nathan, any particular thing coming up? I mean, I don't have anything other than this myself, but
no, not quite yet. I'll circle back if that's the case. I noticed I assume that the picture in your background is the Chicago River, or on your wall, I should say, Chicago River dyed green, which sounds like they're unfortunately not going to, but for obvious reasons, not going to have that this year.
Well, 2 years in a row, our St. Patty's Days have been defined. In my family, what I've agreed to do, what we're going to do in July is we're going to have 1 week of family time that's going to make up for all the missed holidays. We're doing Easter, we're doing St. Patty's Day, we're doing Christmas, we're doing Thanksgiving. We're going to celebrate them all because, We're not going to let them slide into the past. Now, Allison, with 1L, you got something going on even tonight, don't you?
Yeah, myself and Rhonda and Mary and Leslie, we're all running for Park District Commission Board. Ashfaq has graciously offered to host us. Hopefully we're going to get a pretty good turnout. We'd love to see any faces there. Yeah, so I'll pop that link to register for the Zoom call tonight. It's from 6 to 7. Just posted that in the chat, but we'd love to have more people there and just get a conversation going with the 4 of us.
Well, super. Vince, anything particular cooked up for you at this particular point? Or are you saving it for later, like me? I'm going to take that as a no. All right. Well, listen, are there any other questions we have? I see I got a direct message here. Let's see.
Hi, Mark. This is Ashfaq here. Mark, thank you so much for hosting this wonderful forums. And it is really, eye-opening for a lot of people. I'm able to connect with a lot of new faces now. And I've been in the community for more than 5 years, but I missed to connect with some people. But in last 4 forums, I met with some great people here in this forum. Second thing is, thank you so much to all the candidates who are running for office. I know it takes a village to run for office. And you people are the great people who are running for office. And you people will make a lot of difference in the community. And I'm the person who would like to support all the best candidates, because I cannot sit and complain. I cannot sit and write a note saying, oh, this is not happening and all those things. So I get involved into things where I try to step up and help all the best candidates who can really represent us based on their values, based on their credibilities and what they bring to the city and what we all together as a team can do something. So thank you so much to each and every candidate who are working very hard, and let us know how as a team we all can work together and move forward together. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much to all the candidates. Wonderful people.
Well, thank you so much for all your efforts on behalf of the candidates. You've been awesome. You've been awesome.
Thank you,
right.
Mike.
If anybody else, anything else, I don't want, Ms. Longenbaugh can get very, very, very frowny on me if I get over that hour. I don't want to let that happen.
I'm good today. Like, I'm not working today, so
yeah,
so we can go for another hour if you want.
So no, we can't do it. We can't do that, So, any other questions? There, let's see. It says direct message, but I can't seem to read it for whatever reason. Cindy, I can't seem to get your message, and I apologize. It says it's here, but for some strange reason, it's not doing anything. So my apologize to Cindy, whatever your message is. Thank you, I guess. But
hey, Mark, I'll put the link to the park board's meetings, and then people can click if they're interested. They can click on year and date, and then there's a link to the watch video. So
this is the recorded ones on YouTube. Is that what we're looking at?
That's what it links to. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Nathan. That's great, because that's one thing. Yes, Alice.
Yeah. Do we know if the next meeting, if it's going to be solely in person, or do we know if it's going to be Zoomed at all? That's still kind of up in the air.
It's Zoomed and in person.
So it's both next week. Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't know what they're allowing for people to be in, but it's certainly Zoomed. I've been on them since.
Yeah, me too. I'm just wondering next week, once they're entirely in person, if they're going to cut that off and make it a requirement that if you want to see it, you got to show up. I was just not sure what's going to happen next week. Hopefully it's both.
Presumably it would be both.
I would hope, but it's hard to tell. All right.
Super. Well, if that's it, thanks to everybody. I can't tell you how much I really appreciate everyone's involvement. Remember that this is the election, municipal elections. Beat on your neighbors, beat on your friends. It matters, okay? Get involved with the municipal election. Become informed with the candidates and their positions, and vote like your community's future depends on it, because it does, okay? Thank you. Have a great week.
Thanks, Mark.
Stay warm.
Thank you,
Thanks, Mark.
Those people in Texas. Thank you all today. Fabulous meeting. Loved it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.